we are living in hell because we are living in the mind of the narcissistic white man. Inside of the mind of the narcissist, anyone is hell on earth. The possibilities for absolute of what anyone could be is absolutely endless. But the moment you start thinking about what you can be, now your options have collapsed into the things that you think you can be. So whenever they give us media that shows us these, and so that's how that shows us these options, that is our brains will then collapse from all the options that could be to like, these are the options that are presented. And so these are the options that I have to choose from. And that is incorrect. Hello, 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 and welcome back to Bri Speaks podcast. I am your host, Bri Speaks, who created the 6 narcissistic social hierarchies of control. The 6 narcissistic social hierarchies of control are patriarchy, capitalism, corporatism, racism, ableism, and religion. These are the 6 narcissistic, and on this channel, whenever I talk about narcissism, I am not talking about narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. I am talking about something much deeper than that, something much broader than that, something much more pervasive than that. It is not the individual having these narcissistic traits. It is a system. The narcissistic traits themselves are a program that are running on people, and hey, what a wonderful segue into what today's topic is. Today's topic, it's on programming. It's not on any one particular hierarchy of control today. We're going through, and I'm going to go through all of them and talk about ways that the United States government or the elite or the 1% or the billionaire class, whomever you want to, point the finger at, of the peoples who are controlling our world, the people who are collapsing our realities into the realities they want us to live in, the realities that benefit them the most, the narcissistic system, the narcissist and narcissistic people and narcissistic system, the narcissistic things and narcissistic entities only want things that are beneficial for the narcissistic entity. They don't want things that are beneficial for you, but they'll make it look like it's beneficial for you, and so that you don't fight back. And they'll make it look like it's the only option you got, and so you feel hopeless and you feel like, well, this is just how things are. This is how things are gonna be, and there's nothing I can do about it. They want you to feel hopeless and like you there's nothing you can do. And so I want to talk about how they get you to that state, how they get human beings, large populations of people, to the state of programmed, to the state of NPC, to the state of they can get you to do whatever it is they want you to do. And they do. And we are all living again in the reality that is created by the narcissistic white man specifically. We are living in hell because we are living in the mind of the narcissistic white man. Inside of the mind of the narcissist, anyone is hell on earth. They hate themselves. They are insecure. They are disconnected from spirit. They are disconnected from love. They are disconnected from true source, like fulfillment. They cannot feel heaven. They cannot feel love and light and empathy. We're inside the mind of people who cannot feel joy, happiness, and shared goodness amongst other humans. They feel like they have to dominate other people in order to gain their fulfillment. If they do not hurt, harm, dominate, and control other people, then they are worthless. And thus, we will be hurt, harmed, and dominated and controlled until everyone realizes what is happening and realizes that we actually do have the power to wake up from this narcissistic spell, program, slumber, and fight back. All right. So, and you fight back. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will start in your mind. The revolution starts here. If I can get everyone in the world to believe that things can change, that is just a win. That's a win right there. But things will change when everyone believes it can change, and then we actually start generating ideas of what that good change will look like. And then once people start understanding that there are truly other options that we can live in, like as a humanity, and I'm not even talking about like just America, y'all. Some of the things I'm gonna be talking about on my page, these are things that have to apply to the worldwide population of the human race. And so, how have they been programming us? Oh, thank you for asking. Let's get into it. I would love to start in order of appearance, but I am going to pop racism up to the top of this list here today because white people are the most programmed people on Mother God's green earth. So I'm gonna start there. How are white people? How does the narcissistic hierarchy of racism get programmed into people in general? And I just feel like I was watching Breaking Bad a while ago, and I didn't watch it whenever it was in its peak and its prime, when it was like winning all these awards. It's got like, Grammys, it's got like 2 spin-offs, it's got a movie. This show was the bread and butter of the white community at one point in time. And so as I'm watching it as an awakened woman, I was watching it was disgusting. And it was the most, I don't know how to explain it, but like the most narcissistically programming for racism um show that I feel like, well, no, I can't say that I've ever seen, but like it's definitely in the top five most narcissistic programming shows or like movies that I've seen ever. Okay, and so here's how. It's so sinister. So first of all, the main character of this show is Walter White, this white chemistry, a suburban white dad who introduced as this like super lame loser guy. He's a chemistry teacher and he's a boring person, and he is introduced right beside his brother-in-law, or is it his brother? Yeah, no, his brother-in-law, Hank. Hank is he's this cop, and he's this, I guess you would say, like, like badass cop who's a part of the like he's part of the DEA, the Drug Administration, the police, the drug police. And so we're introduced basically to both of these characters in that setting. Like there's Walter's at a birthday party, and Walter is, this shy, meek, like submissive man, and then Hank is this big macho, like, I'm a cop, I'm cool, I'm funny, everyone loves me, everyone's laughing at my jokes, even though it's at your birthday party, everyone's giving me all the attention. And so that was the dynamic. We were introduced to this Walter, the actual main character, as like this victim, and then Hank is this, like, kind of like almost a bully. And so that's those are your two main characters. That's like your protagonist slash your hero, and then like your antagonist. Like that's how they're introduced. But then we go with Hank, the cop, to work. And so here is where this was like the biggest narcissistic programming for racism that I was just like, whoa, crazy. And and I'm gonna say it, and everyone's gonna think it's not a big deal, but here's what I'm saying. So Hank goes into work. He's this guy, and I don't even remember the situation exactly, but he made several racist jokes towards the criminals that they were investigating. Called them all kinds of racist, derogatory names. But they were the criminals, and so the people in the police precinct were all laughing, and it was like shown as like a very like normal casual thing, that they were racially derogatorizing these would-be criminals. Thing is one of Hank's partner is a Hispanic man, and so like you see at points he's like a little uncomfortable, but in general he is like he goes with it. He's like, oh, yeah, like they're like, the show ends up showing basically like the bond of the cop camaraderie is greater than the disrespect of the racism that Hank gives his partner. Like his partner ends up like just like, loving Hank basically no matter what. And I'm just like, and I know, like, I don't know, there are people who would, and so here's what the thing like the show does. I was gonna say there are people who would feel like that's an okay trade-off if you're like, and it's like, it's not that they were just working together, it was that they were presented as like friends, like true friends who care about each other, who put their lives on the line for one another. Like they were portrayed as like deep partnered friends, but the relationship was Hank, this white man, could be racist around him, be racist towards him, but the love and bond of their friendship is worth more than that, or like overshadows that. And I'm like, that is such a okay, so that's such a disgusting portrayal of what, like, so from watching this from the perspective like of a white person, as a white person, I'm watching this show, and then they're showing this police officer, they're showing this white police officer, they're showing him go into this police precinct, they're showing him make jokes with his white cop police officers, all of them laughing, you know, again, it's like, and then those jokes, they don't seem like they're racist because they're going towards would-be criminals or people they're investigating. And so as like a young person or a person watching this, especially as a white person watching this, your brain goes like, oh, you see this large group of people. First of all, like, this is on TV and everyone's seeing it. So that makes it okay. That means this is good. This is normal. And so then in this TV that we're watching in real life, but in the TV is showing a group of people who are all laughing and like co-signing on this behavior. So like that makes it doubly okay. And so the white person who's like sitting in their chair and they're just watching this show, like not thinking about any of this, they're just absorbing these social cues of like racism is okay. Racism is okay. Racism is not that bad. If you have a problem with racism, you are the problem. You're being overly sensitive. Oh, racism is they're only if you're only using it on bad guys, then it's okay. It's fine. And even if it dribbles into your friend life, that's okay because they'll understand because the love is more than the racism. Like that's like, and so it was just like all this. It was just so much just casual racism for a regular white person watching this who isn't interacting with other races often. Like, so it's just like it begins indoctrinating the white community as they watch this. It's like, this is normal behavior. This is okay. This is how we should speak. This is how we should think. These associations are being made in their minds while they're watching the show. They're not thinking about it. And they go out in real life and they have these thoughts and these behaviors and it's like, it's okay. And then it's like, it's sinister because throughout the show, again, Hank does kind of start off as a bad guy, but he has all of this like character transformation stuff. Sure, he has some character transformation, and in the long story short is he comes out looking like the good guy, like this awful, evil, racist cop. He comes out looking like the good guy because because he kills some drug dealers. Mind you, all the drug dealers are people of color. I don't think there was white drug person, and that was of I don't know how many seasons of Breaking Bad there were, but like there were like 6 or 7 or 8 or something, many seasons, and not one Caucasian uh dealer of substances. And I'm just like, okay. And so that's just like that's just one aspect of it, is just all the casual racism that is being said. This is okay for white people to think about and talk about and act like, and this is how you should feel. This is like, this just all these thumbs ups. The main character, Walter White, chemistry teacher, he is the biggest narcissist in the whole wide world. The biggest narcissist in the whole wide world. The biggest narcissist. Like, he does everything for his ego, everything for his making himself look like this big tough man. And in the show, again, it frames all his behavior as justified. Because he's doing it like for his family. It's even though so he gets sick and he needs money for his medical bills, is long story short. And he's offered money from people, but he doesn't take it because of his ego. And then he ends up saying, okay, well, I'll make the money myself. And he starts, selling substances because he's a chemistry teacher and he knows how to make substances very well. Yeah. And so since we were introduced to him as like this kind of like submissive man who is, talked over at his own birthday party, who doesn't make a lot of money because he's a chemistry teacher, and he's not big and bad, like makes you sympathize with this person in the beginning. And then it turns out that it overstresses it. Like, it literally shows you how he just, I want to say becomes a narcissist, but it's like, that's my problem, is the show makes it seem like he became this evil person over time and became eviler and eviler. And he just had to do more and more because he had to save his face, save his name. It's like the show made it feel like all of his actions were justified, or they made sense. All of his unalivings, all of his manipulation tactics, all of his gaslighting, all of his lying, all of his, like, they didn't make it seem like it was very bad until like toward the end. And then even at the end, they still gave him what I feel like is too much of a dignified ending. Like, they still honored his passing in the show. Like, even though this was a monster, y'all. This was a monster, like hurting children for his own gain, a monster. This was like a terrible person. This is birthed out of the mind of the white man. This came out of the mind of the white man. Like, y'all people are looking at these things as like any piece of media, when you look at it, you should look at it from 2 lenses. One, this came out of the mind of someone. This is in someone's imagination. This is how someone thinks. And then 2, someone is trying to make me think a certain way. Someone is trying to make me feel a certain way. Someone is trying to sway me in some sort of way. There's like someone's showing me this with a purpose of getting my state of being to go in a certain direction. So you want to look at what state of being are they putting me in? And what does this represent out of the person who created this creation? And I'm just like, this represents the mind of the white man. It was him getting money, him getting, just all this power that this man accumulated through fear, through violence, just through all this stuff. But the show framed it all in this positive light. It framed it all in this, that makes sense. It framed it all in this, that's justified, all the way up until the end, where it's like, then like, till it pushed you to the point of like, oh no, actually, that's too much. You've gone too far, Walter. Now you're a bad guy. No, he was a bad guy from episode one. From episode one. I don't even like, anyways. So that is my just like example of like how like racism is it casually in these shows, and then it was blown up into this. There are sub sequels. There are just into like all of the casual racism in this show is so praised and awarded all over the white world, and it's like that is why racism is still a thing, because they can have entire shows and movies that has all kinds of upfront casual racism, and white people feel like that's okay. And so it's like they're teaching the next generation as they grow up and they watch these shows that were like these wonderful shows. It's like that's what the kids are, or like that's what the kids are learning. All right. Well, so yeah, that is how racism is programmed into white people. And then black people have racism programmed into them as well, because y'all, Tyler Perry needs to be shut down. Shut down. He like the only reason why he has been allowed to get as much power as he has been allowed to get, him and Oprah. Black people are allowed to get power only when they go with the program. If you are going to produce content that is hierarchical and goes with our social hierarchy of racism, ensuring that black people are shown in the worst light possible, ensure that black people who are your target audience that are watching it are put in a constantly in a low vibrational state, which y'all don't think about that either. That brings me back to Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad had a like, I think it was like a 3, 5, 6 something minute montage of death, violence, and destruction, of just literally like the main character put out a hit on these men in jail because they were witnesses to one of his other crimes and he didn't want them to talk, and so he was like, oh well, then we'll just have to unalive all of them, and it was like 6 of them, and yeah, and so it was like 2 minutes, I think it was, that they said all of the taking outs happened. And so it was a whole thing. They had to get it done in 2 minutes so that, no one would like find out it was a coordinated event, and then they would hide the other witness, and then they wouldn't be able to get to them. So it had to happen all at once. And so for 2 minutes on this television screen, 2 straight minutes, and it might have been more than 2 minutes, but it was just guts, gore, and violence. Just like, just humans, unaliving humans, just on the TV show. Like I saw it for like maybe the first like 5 seconds, 5-10 seconds. And when I realized that they are literally about to show us all 6 of these people be taken away from planet Earth through violence, and show every single thing that happens to them and how it happened, and with the noises and the visual and all of it, I literally closed my eyes and hummed the whole 2 minutes. Like by the end, this is toward the end of the show where this man was reckless, but it's just like, y'all don't understand. So someone's asked me, how do you like connect with your nervous system, and how do you someone was asking me about like how to connect with your nervous system. And a big part of it, and this is why they do this, y'all. A big part of connect with your nervous system is learning what it feels like to have a calm nervous system, learning what it feels like to have a nervous system that has no stress on it, no pressure. I always say to feel like very light, to feel like, I always say, if my nervous system feels flat, it's like, because your nervous system, it's like it's picking up frequencies. It's like a vibrating mechanism. It makes you anxious. It makes you depressed. It makes you happy. Like it gives you all these emotions that are this moving energy. And when you have no emotions that are moving you around, that's why I say it feels flat. It feels like peace. It feels like love. It feels like stillness. It feels like the spirit realm. I always tell everyone the spirit realm feels like peace, love, and stillness. Peace, love, and stillness it's like in fulfillment and wholeness and expansion. It's like, it's a wonderful place. But you get there by having having, I don't want to say no nervous system, like, because it's not that you don't want to feel nothing, it is you want to feel calmness and peace, and you can't feel that. And this is why, so I was saying, the narcissistic programming of these television shows, of the media, of the people, that the powers that be, they don't ever want us to feel calm nervous systems. The narcissists, it not to say it only, it really only works when you are in a state of like unsureness, a state of like unsure footing, where you're in a state of unsure footing, emotionally. that's when the the programming can get inside of your brain. That is when it gets inside of you. It can start taking over and start taking over your thoughts and start working its literal magic, working its magic. But you can't do that when you have a calm, stable nervous system, because anything that shakes your nervous system, which the narcissist is going to shake your nervous system, is going to take you away from your state of harmony, your state of peace. Anything that takes you away from that, when you're used to having a calm nervous system, you will quickly, like myself, like your boundaries will go up, because you can't take a lot of anxious energy or like negative energy or bad emotions coming from people, or like someone stressing you out. Like, I literally cannot take a lot of stress. I am a very sensitive person. Like I said, this comes from visuals, violence, touch, smells. Like, people love my food. Everyone tells me I love my food. And it's like, yeah, I did go to culinary art school for a little bit. But also I put a lot of love. Okay. That's also my secret ingredient. Okay. But other than that, my taste buds are also very sensitive. I have very sensitive taste buds. That's why my food is always immaculate. Everyone loves my food, y'all. I'm sorry. But that is because I'm like, my palate is like, I'm like sensitive everywhere. And so, but you can be too. Oh, but people aren't gonna like this. But you can't get there unless you learn how to sit in calmness and stillness, and that comes with a lot of, like, I don't want to call it boredom, because I'm never bored when I'm sitting in calmness and stillness. But there, you have to, when you are used to getting a lot of input, and so, like, all right, so if you're getting used to getting a lot of input, you are not going to realize when your nervous system is getting more input. It's just like another Tuesday, versus whenever your nervous system is offline, it's turned off, is resting. When your nervous system is at rest, you'll quickly notice whenever you are becoming emotionally triggered or emotionally at rest. And so these TV shows, they put a lot of violence, a lot of action, a lot of like arguments, a lot of intense things that incite a lot of intense emotions, because it is training your body to be used to being in a heightened state of emotion. If you are used to being in a heightened state of emotion because of the TV shows you watch, whenever you are living in real life and things are tranquilo, or like even kill, or still, or at peace, tranquil, you feel, then you start to feel like that is boredom. It's literally the same. So it is the same as like a corn addiction. Is like, you got to watch more and more aggressive corn. And when you're watching TV, if you like action stuff, you got to watch more and more action stuff. If you watch in like romance, you want, like, TV is one of those things where it keeps you like, if you watch a lot of TV, the whole point of TV, of movies, of television shows, is to elicit an emotional reaction out of you. You're not going to want to watch the show if it's not eliciting an emotional reaction out of you. But because of that, that is training your nervous system to always be eliciting emotional reactions. If you're watching TV all the time, and the same thing with like TikTok, all right, or if you're addicted to YouTube, hey, I'm sorry if you're here off of an addiction. I'm like, but hopefully I can help. But if you're watching these things constantly all the time, you're constantly getting all of this input, and that input, depending on what you're watching, if it is eliciting emotional reactions. So I was saying with TikTok specifically, is very bad, because you can swipe and it could be, something really super, super sad, and you're like crying, and then you swipe and it's something that's making you extremely angry. And I really have stopped watching TikTok, because it is everything that every time you swipe, it is eliciting an emotional reaction. And again, as a highly sensitive person, when I say highly, I mean it. Again, I'm aware of how things are making me feel. So whenever I'm watching TikTok too much, like two things. One, I do, those are the days that I feel more tired. I'm just like, dang, that means that I've been on TikTok too much. Cause like my TikTok days where I'm like, when I'm doing a lot of scrolling and not a lot of creating, when I'm doing a lot of consumption, I do feel tired. And then I locked in. I noticed that, and then I locked in on it, and I was like going through TikTok and figuring out like, what is it about it that makes me tired? And then that's when I realized it is the emotional, and this is for me, but I do think, again, as someone who is highly sensitive, it is highly sensitive and highly aware. I just see things first. I see things faster. And I just I feel things first, and I feel things faster, but they are the same things that everyone else feels, but they just don't notice it. They're just not aware. And so when I locked in and I was like, why is TikTok making me feel like, why am I having less cognitive energy juice, cognitive functioning, executive functioning, from doing, if I TikTok too much in the morning? And it is because whenever you scroll up, you get a video that elicits an emotional reaction, and and the creator's job is for it to be the most emotional reaction that it can elicit, because that will keep you watching, keep your attention there. And so someone who thinks about just so much stuff, eliciting that emotional reaction, that is energy draining. And then when you swipe and it elicits a very large emotional reaction, that's also energy draining. But that switching between different emotions, that also is a large energy cost, because there's also a thing called activation energy, right? So whenever you are starting sort of any chemical reaction, it takes a lot of energy, and then to actually sustain, keep that thing on, to turn on a car, it takes more gas to turn on a car than it does to have that car just sit idly for a certain amount of time. There is obviously it gets to a point where if it's been sitting idly for hours and hours and hours, you've of course wasted more gas than just turning it on. But in general, the time that it takes to turn on the car, that amount of gas that goes to the car is higher than it is for the car just to sit in that same amount of time of a few seconds, or even a few minutes, or I think it's longer. I'm not super sure, but it's turning the car on and off will use more gas than it does just to turn it on and then let it sit. And that's for so many things, literally neurons, synaptic neurons, your brain cells that talk to one another. There's activation energy in there. So if people have trouble with transitions, all my neurodivergent folks, if you're listening, if you are a person who you have trouble going from one task to another task, it is because activation energy of starting something new is very high. Getting over that hump of that activation energy is high, and then when you get in it, it's always saying going to the gym. Getting to the gym is hard, but then once you're there, everything is fine. Everything, truly, I feel like that's probably somewhere in a universal property somewhere. Activation energy, starting something always takes more time, energy, focus than maintaining something. I forgot why I was saying that. God dang it. And so, going back to the programming, Black people are given media that has, people that look like us. The only time the media looks like the people look like us in the media, for a long time, we're getting a little bit better, but for a long time, it was only just us doing violence, us going to jail, just us in positions that they wanted us to collapse our attention and reality into. Because again, your energy, your thoughts, first of all, everything is spirit work first. But as it comes into your mind, the energy that you put into your thoughts, it always will come into fruition. So if they put only Black people in positions where they are either, murdered, jailed, doing crime, and not in places that are successful, when Black people, that's the only thing that we ever think about, the only thing that we consume, only thing that we're thinking, the only thing we consume, you're going to have more Black people who are going to jail, who are being murdered, who are going into criminal justice system. But if you have Black people, right, a different world, change the whole generation of Black people, the trajectory of their whole lives, just because they saw a different option. The whole thing about, what is it, I want to say quantum physics, is that there are an unlimited amount of options for anything to happen until the observer, the observer effect, until the observer looks at the particle. Before it looks at the particle, that particle, it could be anywhere, everywhere, it is anywhere and everywhere all at the same time. And then until you look at it, and then it has to be somewhere, and then it's okay, well, here I am. So that's the same thing with literally anything in our entire lives. The possibilities for what anyone could be is absolutely endless, 100%. But the moment you start thinking about what you can be, now your options have collapsed into the things that you think you can be. Before you thought you could be, before you didn't realize you couldn't be an astronaut, you never, it was an option because you never thought it wasn't an option. But the moment you say this is not an option, now it's not an option. You eliminated it. You didn't look over there to see if that was an option. And so now you can only see these options because you said that's not an option. So you looked away, and so now it's not an option. That's how it works. And so whenever they give us media that shows us these, and so that shows us these options, our brains will then collapse from all the options that could be to these are the options that are presented. And so these are the options that I have to choose from. And that is incorrect. But that is what media does. And that's what it did. That's what it did and does in the Black community. It's oh, you can be an athlete because here's all the Black people and they're athletes. You can be an entertainer, you can be all this stuff, and it doesn't give you possibilities. But my thing is, while that's what the narcissist wants, they want to give you these options and tell you here are the only things that you can do. My job here on this planet Earth is to tell everyone, okay, these are the options that they gave you, but just know that your options are endless. I'm just here to let everyone know that you can do and be whatever you want to be. And I know that sounds cliche. I know it sounds cliche, but Like, I don't mean it in a cliche way of like literally like, and I'm not like literally not in the way that like, oh, literally you can, you can grow wings out your back and fly to the moon tomorrow. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying out of all of the physically possible things that a human being can do here on planet Earth, if it is physically possible for a human being to do it, then you can do it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. That's all. Like you can, and I know some things might feel impossible. Some things might take a lot more energy, effort, concerted attention than other things. But if it is physically possible for a human being to do it on planet Earth, then you can do it. That's all I'm saying. Whatever it might look different than what you thought it would look like, because the ancestors love doing that. I love because I'll tell everyone I asked ancestors to be a better softball pitcher because I'm a pitcher, and I was like, I was like, I know I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna train. And I'm just asking y'all, whatever you can do to make me like the best pitcher that I could ever be, hey, you do your part. And so the long story short is I broke my finger, and so you can tell like this finger's ugly. I broke it like the first game of the season that I was doing all this prayer, and I was like really upset. But the long story short is I was able to play the last few games of the season after missing the whole season, and I healed. And when I say, whoo, y'all, like the way that my finger healed, it makes it like I'm shooting my balls like literally like out of a rocket, out of a brick wall. Like they are fast, they are accurate, I'm the best pitcher I've ever been in my whole life. And so the ancestors like to do funny stuff like that. It's not funny that they broke my finger, but it's like when I wanted to be the best pitcher in the whole wide world, but I didn't think about like, how that would happen. And I didn't think, to, say, while being completely 100% safe the whole time. And so the path will make itself available to you. Like if your goal is here, there's going to be 1,000 ways you can get there. And the way that you get there, the universe, as you interact with the universe, it might be different than what you would have thought, but the universe will get you to the reality that you want as long as you put your time and your energy and your attention and your focus on that goal. But narcissists and narcissistic systems, they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to think that. They want you to think this is the way that you have to live. Patriarchy says you have to be a man who likes women and gets married. And if you're a woman, you have to look like this and get married and have kids. And if you're a capitalist, you have to make this much money and you have to have this kind of job. And if you go to church, you have to dress this way and shout this much and pray this much and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, no, you don't have to do any of that shit. You don't have to do any of that shit. You don't have to do any of that shit. You don't have to do any of that shit to be happy. You don't. All you have to do is learn how to love yourself for existing. That's it, y'all. Just love yourself for existing, and your world will open. Like, and not care about not saying not care about what anyone else thinks, but nah. But like you have to love yourself so deeply and unconditionally, and you want and believe in yourself and your goals so much that like you literally don't give a flying crap what anyone else has to say about the things you are doing, the things that you want to do. Like you just cannot care. Because the moment you care, you're living in the reality that someone else wants you to live in. Boop, you've collapsed your world into someone else's world. And like, why would you do that when you could live in the reality that you want to live? You can craft the reality you want by putting your time, attention, focus. Like everyone thinks witchcraft like it's supposed to be you wave a wand and then boop is there. Like no, witchcraft quote unquote is you manifest, you want a goal and you put all of your time, energy, attention, and focus on it. And that means your work, your wherever you put your time, energy, attention, and focus, like your body will follow. Like the rest of you will follow. Like you're going to do what you need to do to get there, and the universe will open its doors. Your brain you'll start seeing things that someone else wouldn't have saw because they're not in that energy of this is the goal that I want. So it's like you will get to your goal if you put all of your time, energy, attention, and focus on it, literally no matter what. But the moment you allow someone else to put their reality into your brain, then your manifesting will go, like it'll mess up, it'll go away, it'll show up in a way that you weren't looking at, you weren't intending. Like don't let anyone tell you what you cannot do, and guess what, you'll do it every time. Rather you believe you can do it or you believe you can't do it, either way you're right. All right, this was not what this episode was supposed to be about. I'm sorry. So going back to humans being programmed, so that is how white people and black people are programmed via race. Okay. So then next I was like, patriarchy. Of course, I thought this was, can be quick and easy. That is obviously with things like The Notebook, just like just any romance movie or show. It is eliciting this emotional, and this is, I didn't think about this when I first started this, but this is what the ancestors are telling me to tell y'all, so I'm gonna tell y'all. Ancestors, my higher self, whomever you want to call, the Christ consciousness, the whomever, but like that all programming works with by through your emotions, through your nervous system. And so I don't think I even finished what I was saying earlier, but it's going to, like, I don't want to call it boring, but like the way that you unplug from the 3D and plug into the spirit world is to it's like it's to desensitize yourself from the 3D, and it's again, it's going to be it's a hard journey, it's a sad journey. It's like you when you're sensitive to people and energy and emotions, you're going to cry a lot because the world, like, literally, I could just think about the world, how the world is suffering, and it will make me very sad because I'll just, like, my brain will just start, it's like my frequency, my emotional frequency will tap into whatever I'm thinking about, and then I'll start feeling that pain. Sad. It's sad. But I can feel that because I don't do anything. It's like I can't drink. Here's the thing, I can't drink a lot of sugar because it's too sweet. I can't I don't know what other things. Like I told you, I can't watch violence. And so it's like if there are things that you're doing that are constantly eliciting emotional reactions, drinking is another one. I just like I do enjoy drinking. It's fun. But I've been doing it less and less because I'm like the hangover is getting worse and worse. And that is, as you get older and whatnot. But also it's like I'm also just becoming, as I've gotten older and wiser and more don't do more and more meditation, more introspection, I'm just becoming a more sensitive person. And that is like, it makes you have to withdraw from the world a little bit, but it's not from the outside world. It seems like, oh, a very lonely life. But from when you disconnect from the 3D and you tap into the spirit world, you're never alone. You're never alone. And you feel so fulfilled. Not say I don't need human connection. I do, absolutely. I still love my friends. I'm gonna go see my friend in Ghana on Monday. So, and I don't know when this will post, but I think by the time this will post, I actually already be in Ghana. But yeah, so yeah, no, I still have friends, but you just become very selective with who you have around you, whose energy you have around you, because I just can't take it. I literally just cannot take fake energy. I can't take narcissistic energy. I can't take dark self-hatred energy. I can't take a lot of sad energy. Like I can, if it's like, I can't take like self-inflicted sad energy. Like that's my thing. Like if someone's in mourning, if someone is going through something, I can obviously be there for them, but I can't take repeated, like, oh, I hate my boyfriend. Oh, I hate my life. This the world sucks. Everything is awful. It's just like, ooh, like that's all that. It's a lot of negative energy. I can't be around that all the time. You'll just my circle small. And I'm okay with that, again, because I don't feel lonely. I feel very fulfilled. So people, you have to, not to say you have to, but if you want to tap in with the spirit world, you have more moments of stillness and calmness in your life. You should have, I would say, at least an hour of stillness and calmness, of like no consumption, no YouTube, no TikTok, no Reddit, no quorum, I don't know, YouTube, no emails, no nothing. You need at least an hour of that. I personally say a day to start resetting your nervous system. And you should stop doing very high intensity like stuff that, like, I don't know how to explain that, but things that are very concentrated, like something, like I said, like sodas, like things that are like high in sugar. If you do a lot of reproductive activity, that is a very high emotional, high energy, high emotional, like, activity. And so if you do that a lot, doing that less will help you. And I know people are not going to want to hear that, but doing that, like, it's a feeling that brings you to the 3D, that brings you to like the here and the now, but the physical here and now. It brings you into your body, which is good, for what you want to do. But if you do it often and you do it frequently, your body, it becomes less sensitive to everything. When you do anything a lot or in high concentrations, you become less sensitive to it. And so if you want to feel the spirit realm, become more aware, you have to have times of like just literally sensory deprivation. Like I love a good sensory deprivation take. As a highly sensitive person, I could sit, if sensory deprivation shakes weren't so freaking expensive, I would go to them at least once a week and sit in there for 2 to 3, 4, 5, 3 hours, 6 hours. Maybe not six, that's a lot, but three. I do 3 hours because I'm just like, y'all, when I go into like into spirit realm, like darkness, dark sensories, turn everything off, like get out of the 3D, like release it all. It's a wonderful, it's so calm and free and peaceful. But you can't stay up there. You can't stay there too often because then you start losing track of time, like myself. Because the real world, yeah. Not to say it sucks. It's wonderful. It's great. And I had like, and when you don't indulge in high 3D activities often, whenever you do indulge in a high 3D activity, which is like something that really activates the five senses or the emotional state of being, something that like is highly emotional or like high sensory activating. When you don't do those things very often, whenever you do them, they are fantastic. They are wonderful. It's like if you're a tea, I don't want to say drinker, but if the greenery, I'm doing a lot of green today, huh? But if you indulge in the greenery, and you take a tea break, if for those who take a tea break, and then you go back to taking your tea, you know how it's like, oh, the first cup of tea after a tea break is like, oh my gosh, this is so great. But when you're like tapping into the spirit world, it's like essentially like, I'm like, that's what I'm saying. That's why the monks go into the woods for 4 days before 40 nights, and they meditate and they go away from the world. It's like I can't explain that, but like you have to get away from the things that pleasure the body. And this goes into like where the Bible and the truth of spirituality, the Bible it'll walk you up to the truth and then like push you off a cliff and then tell you, no, actually that's the wrong direction. Turn around, go the different way. So I was saying, when you indulge, and I'm gonna sound like a Christian, indulge in the things of the flesh too often, you become stuck in the 3D. So going back to, so I was saying the patriarchy is things like The Notebook, things like Love is Blind, right? It teaches you, it's trying to show that marriage is this, you can, if you get to know someone in a deeply emotionally resonating level, that's like, and I do love Love is Blind for that reason, because it is allowing people to like touch souls a little bit more easily versus, and like ego to ego talk, which is like, my representative self and my representative self, y'all talking, those are like egos talking. And Love is Blind allows people to show up a little bit more from the soul, but it also propagandizes the whole wedding thing. It shows all this like beautiful wedding stuff and all this dress, and like, it glamorizes and propagandizes like the marriage. And it doesn't, and so it does that thing where it takes you all the way up into the marriage. They say, I do. And then, and you get a 1 year reunion a year later. And sometimes that is, telling, but a lot of times, the breakdown isn't for many years later, but we'll never hear about it because they're no longer in the spotlight. So that is, so that is how the propaganda happens. Of like, this is a beautiful thing. They love each other. They fall in love. And then it's also showing you like that the just like, the beginning where the hormones and the emotional stability of the two people are at their weakest, because this is a new connection that's being established. So it's a lot more, fun, exciting, and volatile, but it's more vulnerable. It's more vulnerable at that time. Yeah, it's just like, it's still like, at the end of the day, it's the commodification of people's human interactions, and it is propaganda towards this lifelong marriage that isn't actually a common reality for most people. Propaganda. But because there are no shows that show you things like, again, like single women just being great. I'm sure you could find a couple here and there, but in general, like the representation of just single women living wonderful, fantastic, and single men too. Single men, it's like, I would love to see single men just living wonderful lives that don't have anything to do with getting money or women, right? Or it could be getting money, but like it shouldn't be centered around getting money. It should be centered around accomplishing this goal. And if accomplishing that goal gets the money, then that's fantastic. But I want to watch the growth of the person as they tackle this thing that they are tackling, because they have this goal that they want to accomplish, and it's hard for them. Like, that is literally the magic. I want to see the people's magic in action as individuals, because there's so much magic that happens as individuals, but we don't appreciate it because the emotional currency that comes from watching two people navigate a relationship and navigate a new connection, that creates a faster and more concentrated emotional reaction. And so people will gravitate towards watching a couple like meet and go through all those ups and downs and learn each other, because like it's interesting, and it's interesting because it takes your emotions, and it takes your emotions go along with that girl as she gets played, as she gets gaslit, or as she falls in love, and it goes with that man as he meets a woman that he finds very beautiful and attractive and smart and kind of empathetic, and then decides, actually, I do want to take this next step with her. Like, you are going through those emotions with them in this, first of all, in a short amount of time, because they're going through these emotions, in real time with these people, even though it's still in a concentrated fashion, which still heightens the emotional elicitation. So it's still not good for these people, because you shouldn't, like, because again, the whole thing is I need everyone to get used to not having their emotions elicited out of them. Yeah, so stop watching TV. I get, and I know that's why I've been able to stay and maintain a sensitive person all this time, because I don't like TV. I don't like TV. I don't like watching TV. And even when I have watched TV, I've always noticed, like, because like I said it's boring because they're predictable, but even when they're like not boring and I'm interested, I still like want to like be playing like Candy Crush on my phone or something. Like, I have to pull some of myself out of watching TV, because because the shows, if I'm completely fully into them, it will elicit a lot of my emotions, and that process of your body creation and emotional reaction, that takes energy. That takes, even though you don't know that you don't know you're spending energy, because it's automatic that you see an emotional thing happening, and so you have an emotional response. Like, that is what you do as a human. So that's nothing, like, so that's nothing wrong with that. But the people know that, and they know that you, like, that energy that it takes to elicit an emotion, people don't clock that energy, but I'm here and I'm clocking it. And so every time, yes, every TikTok video, every YouTube video, every movie you watch, every television show you watch, it is eliciting reactions out of you that's taking your energy away, but it's keeping your attention because it's interesting, but interesting because it's eliciting those emotional reactions. And so you need to get used to, like, again, like reading. I love books. Books, they don't elicit the same amount of emotional reaction so quickly, and it's controlled, because you are ingesting the words on the page, but they're going inside of you, and you have to process them and understand them, and then your body will filter it to make it a way that you can digest in a way that is safe for you. I mean, obviously there are going to be some books that are like literally you're reading about some awful, terrible things, and that's going to elicit emotional responses. But even then, it's just like a chapter of, I don't know. I don't really read. I don't even read books like that. So I'm just like, I can't say. But books, I know for a fact though that reading books, the digestion and processing of the events is softer on the nervous system. I don't know how to explain that, but it is softer on the nervous system. It's not as hard and intense. It is not as like concentrated, and so it doesn't take as much energy. And it's like a it's like a I don't know how to explain it. Oh God, I hate whenever I have to explain internal things to the external world, because the external world, especially with the English language, which, if you don't know, FYI, English, like, there are so many languages that are not noun based. They are there are languages that are all verb based, because everything is emotion. There are languages that are literally just all verbs. Like, there's nothing that is not doing, and that is important for how the psyche comes together in the human mind. And so the way the English language is built, it is built in a way that doesn't highlight like emotional states, or like it doesn't like so I always say tranquilo, because it's a word I've learned, being with Spanish speaking communities, and it's just like it's a perfect word to embody the feeling of like stillness and peace and calmness. It's like it's the root is tranquil. Obviously, it's like tranquility. I mean, that is a word, but it is tranquility. I mean, it's just, yeah, tranquility is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, heaven has a lot of tranquility. It is love, peace, and stillness. But I like tranquilo, tranquilo. It's just like, anyways, but like there are a lot of words in different languages. And Spanish is still not a great language because it's still a romantic language, a Roman language. But like non-romantic languages, they do a very great job of having words for like emotional states of being, or like words for like, okay, I know English, we have a lot of metaphors for the reason of the fact that we don't have words to cover feelings. And I don't mean like, emotional, but like I mean like states of being. And so I think a good example is like, okay, perfect. A good example is it's raining cats and dogs. That is a metaphor. Like it's not actually raining, animals outside, but it's raining very heavily. But there will be languages that have a word for the understanding of like it's raining very heavily outside. There'll be a word like, tormento is a storm in Spanish, but that's not. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, how we have like, okay, we have rain and we have like a hurricane, but we don't have a word for heavy rain outside. Every like different languages will have words and expressions for like I said, like states of being, and English doesn't have that. And that it shows up in the people who use the English language, because they don't take into account the feelings of things. They don't take into account the state of being, the ambiance, the spirit realm that is happening at the time of this event or emotion or thing. Just like it literally just disregards the feelings that are happening, and says this is rain, this is sleet, this is, hail. It doesn't take into account like this is like hail at this time of year usually comes with this like temperature, and so that state of that feeling is, uh Buslana. I just made that up, but like in a language, be Buslana, and you would know like, oh, at the end of winter, whenever it's rainy, slushy outside, and people are usually down like doing the slushy shedding. It's that time of season. They'll note that from a one word. They'll capture all of that essence in a word. English doesn't capture essence in a word. It's like a rock is a rock. It's not, there's no essence. Rocks still have essence, is what English will say. All right. So patriarchy, we've got love shows. Oh, but then I also wanted to say, I think Love Island is actually a decent love show for a non-patriarchal, I don't know if I want to say a non-patriarchal world, but I like the fact that in Love Island, there is no ownership. Like there is couples, and I don't love that, but the general vibe is, you pull someone for a chat and you see if you like them, and then like essentially like no, everyone's dating everyone. That is like the vibe is everyone is dating everyone, and I love that vibe. I love that vibe. If we could get rid of the pairings in general. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but it's just like, it's like the monogamy and the marriage of two people being together forever is crazy. It's never gonna work. It don't work. It hasn't worked. It has always been about ownership. So when you go back before the concept of marriage was ever invented, was people living in community, and if two people liked each other, they did stuff, and that was it. Like they liked each other, they did stuff, but like no one owned anyone. You can do whatever you want with anyone else if you want to. And I understand, now STDs are a concern, and so you should, limit how many partners you have for safety reasons. But it's still the vibe of like, I don't own you, you don't own me. We're here for a good time while we're together, while we're having this interaction, while we're in contact. But, after that, we just kind of like, go with the flow. And if I keep liking you, we can keep contacting. If we don't like each other, or you want to go somewhere else, that's okay. If you want to go somewhere else and come here, we have to have a conversation about that for safety reasons. But it is like, you're an adult and I can't tell you what to do. And so, at that point, it's my choice to either continue interacting if I feel like it, or I don't. But it's not, I am jealous, I'm not mad. It's just like, okay, this is the cycle of life of any living entity. Something is born, it is created, it grows, it stabilizes as an adult, and then it weakens, and then it dies, and then you start over again. That is literally the cycle of life of all things that are living. And so a relationship is a living thing. It is a thing that it is created. And again, it doesn't even got to be living things. This is just like any two atoms that come together, and all energy is moving all the time. Any two atoms that come together will come together. They will make something, H2O, two hydrogens and oxygen. They will come together and make a droplet, make a molecule of water. While they're molecules of water, and then something will happen, and the oxygen needs to go be a different oxygen somewhere, and that hydrogen needs to go like do something else somewhere else. And now that molecule of water is no longer a molecule of water. They're doing their own thing. That's how everything works, like from down to the microscopicest version to the planets. In a billion years from now, these planets are here right now, but they're going to be gone later. It's like, so trying to force people together forever is, you're going against nature. You're going against the universe, and it's going to end bad, and it always ends bad, and it does end bad. And so occasionally it'll end okay, but in general, on average, it's going to end bad if you go against the universe. Yeah, that's what I was saying. While patriarchy is pushed through all kinds of love TV shows, I was like, Love is Blind is still patriarchal technically, but it has a little bit of a little difference there. And I'm just like, hey, it's a step in the right direction. I was like, shows like Cribs or Pimp My Ride. I know that makes me super old. Those are my examples, but like or Crazy Rich Asians or Crazy Rich Africans. But any of those shows that just show lives of wealth and opulence in a positive light, like shows it connected to, a really kind person, someone who's doing philanthropy, someone who is, giving back, someone like, they show the goodness of the person along with the goodness of capitalism and the goodness of this life. It is programming and training your brain to correlate wealth with goodness, wealth with, excellency, wealth with, things that you want to attain. Like the programming isn't, I'm gonna tell you what to do and this is what you're going to do. It is, I am going to influence the crap out of you to the point where you have thoughts and dreams and wants and hopes that you have no idea where they came from, but you have them, and so you will pursue them. But where they came from is me, the narcissist. I gave you your dreams, and you don't know I gave you my dreams, but I gave you your dreams. So yeah, it's just like when it frames certain things. Okay, and I like to give counter examples, right? We have all these examples of My Crazy Rich Mansion life, but how many shows do we have of people living like just like satisfied regular lives? I know. And I know because it sounds boring, but it sounds boring because our nervous systems, here we go, are used to having a lot of emotionally charged media, a lot of media that creates an emotional rise out of you. And that emotional rise is where the interest comes in. You don't want things that keep you tranquilo, that keep you calm, that keep you still, keep you at peace, because then that's boring. But it's not boring. It's that's normal. That's what it's supposed to be. But you are so used to getting things that are emotionally charged, emotionally shocking, emotionally gripping, that you feel like having a nervous system that is at peace, that is calm, that is still, is boring. So it's kind of saying the activation energy, but in reverse, whenever you are detoxing essentially from these high emotional soliciting media programs, you are going to feel bored. You are going to feel bored. And whenever a person starts taking their tea break from whatever their substance of choice is, your body is going to have the first gut reaction of like, this is terrible. This is awful. Literally, you're going to go through withdrawal, but it'll be like for sensory stuff, for TV, for whatever it is that is eliciting a large emotional, and drugs do that too. Drugs do, when you hit your substance of choice, it elicits a sense of euphoria. It is a large emotional response, and people get addicted to literally that's what all addiction is everyone's being addicted to a large emotional response, and it's usually a pleasurable emotional response. But that's the thing, you think, when you think of, the substances, is easy pleasure, or schmecks or corn is easy pleasure, but fear and anxiety are also addictive, like gripping emotional responses. It doesn't have to be just a pleasurable emotional responses that people are addicted to. People can be addicted to fear. People are addicted to fear all the time. Most people are addicted to fear. Like that fear, you don't know it, but your nervous system is looking for it because it's used to having it there. And so when it's not there, things feel wrong. And we have to get everyone in the world to flip to the opposite, where your nervous system is calm all the time. And that whenever something of note happens, your emotional response is elicited, but it's for good reason. It's for an actual reason, not just because someone wants to keep your eyeballs on their screen, not just because someone keeps your attention. Like you have to, like, people I'm telling you, people need to value their attention more. I literally, I don't know, I was watching something one day, but it linked the fact that your attention is money. Like anytime you are looking at a screen, you are making someone money. Thank you. Thank you for watching this screen that I'm on. Thank you for your attention. Your attention is so valuable. You are giving me money by just your eyes being here, but I'm bringing your eyes here and that's giving YouTube money. But I told my son, like he's playing Roblox all the time. This kid game, like, but I tell Mikey all the time, like my son, every time you're putting your eyes on a video game screen, you're giving those people money. Don't think of it as like you're not paying for it, so you're not giving them anything. Like every time you scroll, like that is how I started thinking about my attention. I started thinking about literally every thought that I have, every piece of attention that I give something or anything, I think of it as money. I think of it as dollars. That actually has helped me with like getting stuff done as an ADHDer. It's like if I'm giving literally every time I'm just like I'm scrolling on YouTube, I'm just like I'm giving these people my money right now. Is this what I want to be doing? It helps me stay aware of how much of my attention am I giving away, because that is literally giving your money. Like literally me, which is why when I say I want to give my attention to my YouTube, I want to give my attention to my book, I want to give my attention to my platforms. Like people think that if you're not making a lot of money right now, that like then that's indicative of something. But like if you like attention is a compounding, it is a compounding asset. So if you give just the same way, all right, because everything in the world is connected, everything all at once. The same way you get desensitized, the more and more you do something, and so it takes more and more and more for you to get elicit the same emotional response, because it's like over time you need more. It's the same, like the same attention works too, but like in a more positive direction. The more you give something your attention, the more that thing is going to like compound in like value. It's like your attention, y'all. I can't explain that, but like whenever you give something your attention, your attention is a compounding asset. This YouTube channel, every time I sit down and I record my thoughts out loud and I put them on this podcast and I put it in a YouTube and I upload it as a video and I upload it as another video, upload another video. All of that is my attention, and it's going to start compounding money. So I'm not making a lot of money on YouTube right now, but the more attention I give to this thing, this entity, the more valuable it will be worth. So yeah, and that is like y'all, that attention, I can't grab it out of the air, but it's there, and that attention is your spirit energy. Like that's why I keep trying to tell people, like magic is not I wave my wand and it's there. It's like if you have a really big goal, it's going to cost you a lot of energy, a lot of money, a lot of dedication, a lot of ritual, a lot of habit, a lot of just a lot of like stuff, like a system. Like it's going to cost you a lot of energy. Like magic is energy, and your attention is energy. And so the more attention you give something, the more magic you're putting inside of it, and the bigger it will grow eventually. We don't know when. Again, you're co-creating your reality at all times. So sometimes like you have to bring your half, your action half, your 3D half, and then the spirit realm, as long as if you're locked in with them, you're tapped in, y'all are plugged in together, the spirit realm will work its magic and it'll do the other half to get you to your goal. You co-create your reality with the spirit realm, that your feminine half, your existing half, your spirit half, and then your 3D half, your half that is here, your body half, y'all come together and you make your reality true. And again, it's not going to happen instantly, but if it's a big goal, it might cost a lot of attention energy. But if it's a small goal, it might cost a little bit, but it's going to cost something. Those are universal laws, universal principles. You can't get something out of nothing. But if you get the more and more you put something in, there's a compounding effect. So, and then it happens in the same way when it comes to this programming. At first, you'll watch something and it's like it might trigger your sensitivity, right? And it's just like, this is weird. As like a kid, right? You might have had a thought of like, this is a racist. That was a racist thing that someone said if you're a white person. But then like, as it was said again, and everyone else laughed, and it was said again, and then everyone else laughed, and then it was said again, and no one else said anything. Like then you start training your nervous system to desensitize to that weird thing, to that awful thing, and then become so desensitized to it that it doesn't flag any emotional nervous system's emotional awareness. You're no longer aware that you have this belief or this thought, or that you didn't have this belief or this thought, because you've been desensitized to your nervous system warnings. White persons, and that's why white people are the most programmed. They've been desensitized and trained from birth. They've been trained from birth to be desensitized from their nervous systems, to ignore their spirit, ignore how you feel. This is what you're supposed to do. They've been indoctrinated into every cult so heavily because they've been, the beneficiaries of it. But again, if you are not allowed to be your true and authentic self, you are not benefiting. You can be a millionaire, which a lot of these billionaires are, and not know who you are, not love who you are, and be miserable and hate yourself because you don't never learn how to sit still. You never learn how to sit still and exist. You never learn how to sit still and value yourself for not doing anything but just breathing and being alive. You never learn how to appreciate yourself for just being who you are, and instead of appreciating yourself for the value that you bring to somebody else or to some other system or to some external thing. And so now you hate yourself with $1 million in your bank account. Congratulations. I know you're not happy. So anyways, how to be broken, be happy is love yourself, value yourself, choose yourself every single time over what any narcissistic programming has ever told you. All right, rapid round for the rest of this stuff. Vanity. How do they program you? Okay, well, they program you, of course, with all that something is programming when it has to be told to you over and 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 over again. That is how you know something is programming, y'all. Whenever they have to show you or tell you something over and over and over, because when things you learn, like things the things that are completely 100% true, you don't have to keep repeating them to people. People will learn them, and it'll just be the truth, and the people will understand that as the truth. And that's that. And they might forget it, but it'll come back if someone asks them about it in 20 years. It's just like, oh yeah, that is that thing. It's the truth. The thing, the thing. And we all agree on the thing. But programming is why you have to go to church every single Sunday. And I know again, the Christians are not they're gonna hate that. They're gonna hate that. But it is why these TV shows are seasons long when they're trying to get you to understand a message. Like that's why these seasons or these shows are really the same copy paste shows over and over and over again, is because they need you to watch the same thing over and over again so that you can believe it. If you don't watch, and again, and I know, and I want to say I'm like blessed, but my higher self has been watching over, because this is what I'm doing now is what I've always supposed to have been doing, but I wouldn't have been able to do it had I got trapped in the program. And so I chose to come into this body and this life as someone who hates TV and only likes to read books, because I was never supposed to get locked in. I was never supposed to get locked in. So yeah, Christians program you with church every Sunday. That's why they have to repeat the same things over and over again. And if you didn't, if it was just the truth, it would just be like that. Same thing with racism was why they have to keep showing black people in like these subservient positions so that white people will keep like having, it's like having to like, oh yeah, remember the black people, they're supposed to be poor, they're supposed to be bad, they're supposed to be awful. It's like making sure their programming is locked in, because if they, open their eyes and actually can look around them, they would never see the crap that they see about black people on TV. They would never see that in real life. They would never see it in real life, and so they wouldn't believe it. And so that's why they have to keep showing it on TV over and over again. So the programming will make sure it sticks, even though again, there will be people that it don't stick with, and we're the ones who have to make sure everyone else wakes up and say, hey, you guys don't fall for the shenanigans. Corporatism, a Wolf on Wall Street was a good example of just like them putting this positive, shiny, bright light on this super ultra rich corporate white man, and showing him have this like lavish life. But why can't we see, where are the Buddhists? Why can't we have shows that have just like following a man or a woman having a life of just like nature and stillness? Why is that? Show it in a way that there will be emotional attachment, but not emotional like putting bees in a jar and shaking them up and then handing them back. It's just like that's what it feels like with these TV shows with like high action, high violence, high intensity, high smacks, high 3D, high physical. It's just like it's like taking animal and put it in a jar and then shaking it up, and then you come out the other side of like, whoa, that was a cool ride, and then you don't know it, but you got a broken rib, a broken sternum, but you don't feel it because they're like internal pains, and they heal up all on their own, and then it's just like 10 years later, it's just like, man, my shoulder is always hurt after that one ride. So okay, yeah, so that's a corporatism thing, yeah. But in general, though, they always show like again like CEOs. They just there's just a general positive propaganda towards CEOs in any sort of media, and that is on purpose because I'm okay again to give you what is the opposite. The opposite would be media that shows the kind of like the propaganda that you saw in like some of the old newspapers with like really big fat men with like money sticking out of their pockets while and food all over their face while the citizens were starving. Like, we would see shows like that. We would see more shows where the bad guy is the CEO, the bad guy is the corporate entity. Like, we need more media that shows that the bad guy are these things that that take away and that suck from their communities. But the people who have the money are the corporate sponsors, and so they'll never show that. They'll never show the corporate structure as the evil structure of hierarchy that it is, that literally rolls up power into the hands of a few intentionally and inherently and on purpose. It's just like, no, we can't show that as the bad guy. Wolf on Wall Street. I was like, ableism comes in with really the invisibility of the disabled community. There's no shows. There are no shows that star people who are blind, that star people who are on wheelchairs, that star people who are deaf. There was Love on the Spectrum, and I loved that show. I loved Love on the Spectrum, and that was a beautiful show. Although it was still patriarchal propaganda, trying to tell neurodivergent people that we need to be with someone else when we actually don't need to be with anyone else. We just need to be with ourselves and have good, deep connections that come and go as they please. But yeah, so that's really the ableism is just largely invisible. It's just like the media's like, oh, let's just literally pretend like they're not there. And I'm just like, that sucks, because then when people do see blind people or deaf people, they don't know how to act. They don't know how, because they have no representation. All right, and so my closing statements will be: life should largely be boring, but really but boring shouldn't be boring, but boring should mean still and calm, peaceful, fulfilled, and satisfied. That is what life is supposed to be like on the default. It should be that. And then with some emotionally heightened states for specific purposes, like going to go get some food or, something. I don't know. I'm just like, a tiger's coming. Oh my God. But I'm just like, those tigers don't give. Again, once you really learn about, when you get in touch with the spirit realm and you start talking to animals, humans have such a fear of animals. Animals don't give a fuck about us. They don't care about us. They're just like, are you like it is because of their experience with us? It's like, are y'all going to attack us? Otherwise, they're just like, it's just they approach everything with curiosity. They don't approach everything with fear the way that humans do. The narcissistic human approaches other animals with fear instead of curiosity. And that is why humans have the example of, if you were being chased by a tiger, and it's just like, we were natural apex predators. Tigers were not chasing us. The tigers were not checking for us. We were friends with the same way we tame tigers now and tame elephants. We were friends with all the animals. Anyways, all right, y'all. Thank you for coming to this episode. I don't think I did a great job of teaching people how people are programmed, but I hope it was at least the tip of the iceberg of understanding how it happens. They are trying to show you a specific character in a good light, even though this character is doing these specific actions. So just always look at that. Who is the good character, and what are their actions that they're trying to attach to this good character? And are those actions actually good, or are they just telling me that they're good and I'm just supposed to believe it? So yeah, hope you learned something or saw something from a new perspective. If you enjoy my content and you want to support me, you can always donate to my Cash App at Bri Speaks, the number 2, Bri Speaks 2. But you can also nowadays join my members only, which is, boy, I'm still scared to do this, y'all. But I'm using my members only as a space for one, sharing more like deep and intimate personal details about, who I am and my life thus far and my life happening right now. Because, I feel like from the internet's perspective, I'm the same person who started this channel is who I am now. But from my perspective, I'm literally not to say, night and day, but like I've become a more aware, more awoke, more awake, more conscious person. So I want to share. I'm scared to, but I would like to share a little bit more of just like personal stuff. And so if you vibe with that, or you vibe with me and you want to just connect more closely, come on over. And then in the future, I plan to do just other stuff. Like, I don't know if I'll do like whole videos. I don't know what I want to do with it, but people who are really like locked in with me and care about what I'm saying and resonate with what I'm saying and want to like dig deeper, I want to cultivate a space for those people. I appreciate everyone who's coming to, my weekly Monday episodes, but if there are people who want to go deeper, I want to go deeper with those folks. So it's going to start with the members only and maybe a Patreon or something. But for now, we're YouTube members only. Be there or be square. And thanks to, it was a Jason Mason. Hold on. Okay. So I want to say shout out to my first 2 members already. I'm like, whoa, crazy. There are people who do want to talk to me. So thank you to Jason Muex. I don't know if I said that right, but thanks. And then Sarah Yu, also thanks for coming and chatting and being with me on this journey, because like I said, I've got the members only and I want to do stuff with it. I'm like, I'm gonna do a book club one day, because listen, you guys, I've got book recommendations that I know will just help expand your mind. So yeah, I'm gonna do stuff in there. Don't know what exactly, but thanks for Jason and Sarah for joining me over there as my first 2 members. And my members only. Oh my God, what do I do now? Oh my God, thanks. Okay, yeah, and if you want to support any other way, you can also buy my PDF, the one that I always show up here for $10 at this moment, at free2adhd.com. As I said before, sunsetting that website. Not sure when exactly. What by now at this point, the hoodies should be all gone, all sunset. There's no more hoodies. But the website free to ADHD, again, I'm not sure what I want to do with that. So I'm in a moment of transition there. And then, yeah, if you want to follow me on TikTok, you can also do that at Bri.Speaks. And otherwise, if you made it all the way to the end here, thank you for listening. I hope you're not programmed, or I hope this helped you deprogram some. I hope you desensitize your life to, disconnect from the 3D a little bit and go into the spirit world, but don't get too used to it, because, we're here for a reason and we need to remain here. You can't just don't get lost in the spirit world. And yeah, so if you made it all the way to the end, please do drop a upside down inverted triangle in the chat. It represents the feminine, it represents the collective. It is the same dimensional properties as a heart, and that is for a reason. It is representative of love. So if you're here, please do drop that, and I will see you next time. Until then, stay woke. Bye bye.